Welcome to COLTT 2021. We are pleased to present How Did You Do That? Using interactive tech to teach clinical skills online. I'm Kristine Gauthier and presenting with Ryan Cloyd and Glenda Robertson. And we're hoping at the end of this brief presentation that you may be able to think about a few ways how you can incorporate technology into one of your courses.
Hi, this is Glenda Robertson, and it's my pleasure to talk a little bit about the theory and the evidence-based practices we use to guide this project. Now, because this is a very brief presentation, I'm not going to go into the theory of andragogy. I'm just going to encourage you that if you don't already know it or you need a little refresher, please check out Malcolm Knowles and his theory of andragogy. So it also is about how we are setting up our students to really learn in the 21st century, because they're going to be working in the 21st century, and some of the paradigms that maybe perhaps we were taught with are not going to be fully suited for this new century of work and learning. So one of the things I want to draw your attention to is that active learning is really important to the adult learner, and is really important to engage the neurobiology behind how the organ of learning, otherwise known as the brain, really is able to not only take the information from short-term, but then put meaning around it and have it go into long-term storage. The main idea behind this is get the learner involved. It can't just be a read it on the screen and then do nothing with it. The more the learner is involved, the more active that learning experience is, even in the online environment, the more likely it is that it will stick and become meaningful when they need to apply it. So of all of these levels that you see on the screen, we are really shooting for a level 3 and a level 4 with our interactivity. So is this supported by the evidence? You bet it is. In 2019, the U.S. Department of Education did a systematic review of a bunch of literature to put together this report titled Using Technology to Support Post-Secondary Student Learning. I encourage you to pause this video and take an in-depth look at the level of evidence they found around the 5 recommendations they make in this report. Speaking of recommendations, we actually took the big, broad depth of the literature and focused it into our neck of the woods, which is nursing education. And so the idea, and this is going to sound a lot like Malcolm Knowles, which is why he's in the lower right-hand corner, is that to do this well, the students need to become self-evaluators. This is that principle of self-directed learning that is very important to this. And you also need to blend in scaffold learning. So it can't just be like, hey, be an expert day one. No, they need time to practice. They need that feedback. They need that confidence, that self-efficacy to build. And that, again, fits nicely in that ability to self-evaluate. The bottom line is, no matter how skilled your learner is with technology, make sure that you give yourself as faculty and your students as learner time to learn the platform in which you are wanting them to do the skills with, and also have some practice, because it's definitely a dual processing kind of activity to not only learn the software, but also learn the activity.
Thank you, Glenda. And this is Kristine. I'm going to talk a little bit about the course content and the course design. So as you just heard from Glenda, the development of this course was grounded in an evidence base. It was developed as a 15-week course that built on a previous course with advanced assessment skills. And this one focused specifically on pediatric assessment skills with history, physical exam, and body systems. We incorporated 8 interactive models focused on one body system. And as a way of evaluating the students and their progression and the scaffolding of the content, we had formative activities where they worked through each of those interactive models. And then we had summative activities where they were able to actually apply what they learned in those modules as well. The design of the course was 8 interactive modules that concentrated on advanced pediatric assessment for one body system, for example, the pulmonary system. In order to do this, we used Articulate, both Rise 360 and Storyline e-learning platforms. They were embedded into the Canvas course modules, and the modules themselves contained assessment videos and information. So assessment videos providing examples of assessment skills for each of those body systems with additional information. Interactive assessment practice, where students had an opportunity to label and work through different assessment pieces for those body systems. And then an interactive quiz for each of the 8 interactive modules. The students received instant feedback from the interactive assessment practice pieces and with the quiz. They had both visual and auditory learning opportunities throughout the modules, and they were able to access the modules over and over as much as they needed to be able to help learn the skills before they took the quiz that was available once in each module. And the picture here is just a screen-by-screen layout of what RISE 360 can look like. So this is just to briefly walk you through what the course looks like and what the students' experience is. So this is an example of the ear module. When the students enter into the interactive component, they see the module, they see the different components of the module, a description of what the course is, the learning outcomes, the assessment materials, and then the knowledge check with the interactive quiz. As previously mentioned, there are multiple videos embedded into the interactive course so the students can watch and learn specific exam techniques. And then they're able to move into some actual anatomical abnormalities and take a look at these. So for example, this is an abnormality in the outer ear on a child. They can see some abnormal physical findings. There's practice with anatomical structures and labeling them with additional information that students can interact with. And then opportunities to practice labeling various parts of the anatomy. And this is another example of labeling anatomy with additional information for the student to become familiar with the specific anatomy. And then at the end of each module, the students are taken into an interactive quiz where they're repeating information in a different format than they interacted with during the interactive module. They can enlarge pictures to be able to see that, and then it's a drag and drop interactive quiz where they can move things around. And once they submit, they get instant feedback with the green that tells them and the correctly placed during that module.
Thanks, Kristine. I'm Ryan, and so this is a little bit of the behind the scenes side for the enhancement through transformations and customizations. In these examples, what we did was we were utilizing two tools from Articulate. There was 360, so RISE 360, and then Storyline. And here we're looking at transformations, and we were able to take PowerPoint presentation content and then move that content over into the RISE 360 and utilize the components there and make more interactions and kind of take what was previously static information and kind of make it a little more motion and like interactive. So you'll see here on the right that there are a couple examples just kind of scrolling through. And for the most part, the RISE 360 format was able to kind of take and then template content, and it does a lot of the interactive components for you. And it just involves some time in kind of copy and pasting and really mindfully deciding like what components and what elements of interactivity you want your content to display. The next component was customizations. And for this, we're utilizing Storyline. And Storyline is one of our tools that does take a little bit, it's got a tougher learning curve than RISE 360, but it allows for custom drag and drop interactions. Like you can see here, it had hotspot interactions and specific feedback and a lot of abilities that you can do with that. Takes a little bit more effort in getting the content ready for Storyline, but it really seems to work out and to be worth its effort. And from there, I would just want to do a quick demonstration here and just go into some of the content, and hopefully some of this will be available to you. But this is another example of just really showing how you can take content that was once static and then have it kind of come in and appear and have interactive components to it and have all these little touch points that you can get more information from, as well as different ways of just presenting it and adding a little interactive element to it. So this is all the Rise component. And then here at the bottom, there's an example of the customization. And for this, you can kind of create drag and drops and have the interactive element and get your custom feedback. Our references are available here. And other than that, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. There's also a QR code here on this page. So feel free to point your camera at it, and this will guide you into our SCORM Cloud demonstration. Just be mindful that it'll ask you for just a quick registration of your name and email, and that spots might be limited. So don't worry if you get in and all the spots are taken up. Thank you once again.